Okay, Cyvis students, this video is going to be about sort of workflow and hotkeys. And what I mean by that is I often get questions, how are you doing that so fast? How are you looking around or doing these things? And there are ways to do stuff faster than constantly going over here and pressing the buttons or constantly going up here and using your views. And basically it'll help improve your workflow and improve the way you move stuff around. Now, there's some of these that we've already gone over in previous videos. For example, I've talked about how if you hold shift when moving something, it constrains you to moving in straight lines or 45-degree angles. And the same is true if you're creating an object and you hold shift and it constrains you to specific objects and angles. But in addition, you can also use shift to select more than one object at a time. So here I have the black arrow and I clicked this object, and if I hold shift I can click another object, and now I have both at the same time and can move them together. Another one we've already talked about is Alt. If you're holding Alt while moving something, you get the double arrow and can use it to easily copy objects. One we haven't talked about, however, is Control. So if I'm using a tool, like say the pencil tool, and I'm drawing something, and I draw something here, and I didn't want it to be right there, I wanted it to be in this space, I can go over here, and I can get the selection tool, and I can move it down into the space. But if I undo that, and we go back to, and then I have to go back to the pencil tool to keep drawing. So here I am on the pencil tool, and I made a mistake of where something is. If I press Control, my cursor becomes the arrow, even though I'm still on the pencil, and I can grab this and move it. And when I let go of Control, I go back to having the pencil, and I can do pencil stuff again. And this works with basically every tool. The lucky thing about it is it lets you do some stuff and then quickly, make a change and move where something is, and then quickly make another change without having to go over to your toolbar. Another change you can make while actively working with these tools, particularly one like the paintbrush tool or the eraser tool, is they all have a particular size. And you can change that size with the open and closed brackets. So these are the keys that are next to your P on the keyboard. And the one to the right, if you hold it down, and you can hear me clicking it on the microphone, as I'm clicking it, it makes my brush bigger. And if I press the one on the left, if I keep pressing it, it'll make my brush smaller. This is actually true in all Adobe programs. And it affects things other than the brush tool too. It'll affect the eraser tool. Here you can see I have a big eraser line to cut here. And if I hold down that bracket, I now have a smaller eraser line. And you can hold it for a while. And it's much quicker than clicking over here and trying to change the size of stuff. And what we're actually doing here is if you double click on the tool, we're changing the size here of this tool, because we can get to that from double clicking on the tool itself. The last really useful thing to get around is that if you press space, you get the hand tool, which we haven't talked about yet. And that basically just lets you move the whole screen around. You move the page around. You're not moving objects, you're moving the page. And again, I'm still on a specific tool. If I hold down space, I keep that tool, but I get to move around while I can work at things. In the same way, you can use Control and 0 to see the whole thing. Control and 1 is actual size. And you can use Control plus and Control minus to zoom in and out, which you will definitely see me do when I'm looking at and working with your projects. So that is it for workflow. There's a whole lot of other hotkeys you can learn. You can learn what all of the single letter presses for each of these is. Pencil is N, brush tool is B, etc. But what's more important is making sure that you're able to move your page around quickly and keep working and sort of look at things. Get a different view, make it easier on yourself, zoom in if you need to make small tiny changes, etc. So that's it for hotkeys.